everyone. This is a special episode of UCM VIP. Today we're going to be exposing you to two very amazing women. Amara and I usually do the show by ourselves, and really and truly we need some feminine energy in here. Yeah. So we're going to be introducing you to very amazing women and totally legit in what they're doing, and who are very, very enthusiastic and so on. So first of all, I'd like to introduce you. First of all, I've mentioned her before, to Nicole LaCroce. This is Nicole. A lot of you don't know, but all of this stuff that you're seeing here, all the stuff that Amir and I are doing, she's responsible for half of it because she is my brain and my conscience and stuff like that. And she pretty much tells me, keeps me on the straight and narrow. And this is Carla Nowinski, and she's a bundle of effervescence. A little bit of a warning, Kyla is hot right now because she's in a room with no air condition. And so what we're going to be doing is trying to get her to move a lot. But other than that, I want to share with you guys, and of course you guys know Bear and myself. So this is an open and free discussion, ladies. I said before, this is rated R for reality. So anything that comes to your mind, please let it come out of your mouth in open honesty. So let's start with Nicole. Nicole is a medium and a tarot reader. And Nicole, tell us about that because, you know.
Wow, yeah. Well, my experience spans over 30 years, and the bulk of my work is mediumship, which a lot of my clients just really want to connect with their loved ones on the other side. With that work comes a huge responsibility of being able to manage the whole reading, being able to connect, being able to close, and being able to deliver really healing and nurturing messages for both sides. So it's a huge responsibility, but it's a major honor in my life, and I'm so proud to be able to heal people that way on both sides. So that's where the bulk of my work is. And I met Kyla years ago, and we just connected, and yeah, we just really connected on a level of just understanding, just naturally understanding each other and each other's work, which we do different things, but it all melts together. So I'm really excited to be here with you all today. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Kyla, let's hear your stories.
Sure. So we'll start from the very beginning. I actually am a licensed massage therapist. I am a white light Reiki master and practitioner. I also teach Reiki certification classes as well. And speaking of movement, I do Zumba as well. So I'm a Zumba instructor and I practice craniosacral therapy. So there's a multitude of different healing modalities that come into one. My philosophy is mind, body, and spirit. And how are we going to integrate that into one to provide somebody with the highest quality of healing service that they could possibly have to become the best version of themselves. And I'm also now a real estate agent or realtor in both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And my goal for that element is actually to help not only my younger generations of, let's just say even my younger sister or around her age period, my age group of millennials, or even those that have a little bit more experience on this earth, right, to develop a very strong financial portfolio and build financial wealth for the generations to come and provide them a safe haven, financially, security-wise, and just pretty much from that level, just to bring them the highest quality of their life. So mind, body, spirit, and financial components.
I did say she was a bundle of effervescence, did I not? I gave you all the warning. Amir, you want to chime in here?
Ladies and gentlemen, my warmest greetings to you. Thank you for being here with us. I'm sure all of us are really grateful for you giving us your time. I grew up in Iran from a very, very early age. Let's say 4 or 5, I started learning meditation. And spirituality was with me all my life, to different degrees. Now it's been 35 years, I've continued on the path. For my professional side, I've basically studied and taught all my life. So I'm an academic. I'm teaching artificial intelligence, computer science, mathematics. but my true passion and reason for being remains spirituality. So that's the #1 priority. And like my esteemed panel members, fellow panel members, we're all here because we're answering the call. This kind of activity is a calling that not everybody answers, and not everybody answers well. So it's a great pleasure to be here with every one of you guys. I really cherish this opportunity, and hopefully we'll be able to help countless people to the highest degree, doing what we love. And because we love it, we're actually pretty good at what we do, in all humility, but honesty. And so it's going to be an exciting time ahead.
Yes, I never really introduced myself on these shows because I'm very confused. My name is David. I grew up in the Caribbean, educated in the US and in Europe. I'm a mishmash of different things, literally and figuratively. So academically, my background is in law and business and technology. And spiritually, yeah, that spiritual smoothie we were talking about. So I like absorbing information, and I like having discussions with people who are like our panel here, who are esoterically inclined and so on. The reason why that is because you learn a lot. And I think spirituality is one of these things where, one of these areas where you will never stop learning no matter how good you get. There's no degree that you can get that, like, there's no syllabus here. It just continues and continues. And so today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the groundedness of being in this life and being spiritual at the same time. Okay, because all of us on this panel have backgrounds in real life application. Emeritus Tony, he was an academic, he teaches AI. Kyle is into real estate, and Nikki has been working in corporate for many, many years, like myself. So we want to talk about how you balance the two, because a lot of people can't get that stuff balanced. A lot of people drop out of life, and they can't seem to harmonize the corporate side of themselves or the out in the world side of themselves with the whole spirituality aspect. But on this panel, we have people who have been out here hustling, really doing what we need to do in this life and still maintaining a balance. So I'm going to go to Nikki first of all. Nikki, your experience has been like mine. Okay?
Yeah.
So how has spirituality actually helped you in your working life?
Well, I've always been spiritual. So growing up, I didn't know I was any different than anyone else. I just knew things, I could anticipate things. So when I got into corporate America at the young age of 20, I went right into banking. And I quickly grew to, commercial teller and so forth. So navigating the corporate world and regular life is really calibrating with spirit, really keeping myself balanced before I even walk into the corporate building. But it's tricky, but you have to use a lot of common sense, and you have to be able to trust your intuition and depend on your intuition to be able to navigate difficult situations, because they constantly happen. And every day is something different. So, yeah.
Isn't that like yeah, I'm going to say an amen on that, because I can tell you that in my time in corporate, the spirituality and the side effects of spirituality actually helped me quite a bit. Anticipation is better than repair. Okay, anticipating the problem is better than repairing the problem, whatever problem or the effects. So honestly, like Nikki, I've always been in the spirituality aspects. It's ancestral for me. And so when I went out to work and so on, actually the people that I worked for always appreciated the intuitive part of my nature. Okay. And so a lot of people can't actually utilize the spirituality in a corporate setting or in a working environment. But if you did, whatever you're doing becomes better. Kyla, you are a real estate, I'm going to call you guru, really, because what I see on Facebook is like, wow. Okay. So, how has spirituality helped you in your dealings with the real estate market?
Sure. So I want to start by saying this too, that my background actually came from the holistic and wellness industry and owning a small business within the holistic and wellness industry first. And then the entire world shut down back in 2020, and I was called to become, this real estate guru as I am today. So I think I kind of had a little bit of a head start or a little bit of that advantage because I was already in the nature of the field. So what I already knew, and this is where I'm going to guide the conversation, is that I learned to trust everything that I do in my life and anything that gets bestowed upon me, so to speak. So if I have an inkling and if it is a hell yeah in my gut, I'm going to do it. So what I have learned is that to continue and to create that balance in even the real estate realm, because let's face it, when you're in corporate, when you are dealing with high business professionals, they sometimes are not in their own alignment. So I think the biggest advantage that I have had coming from the holistic and wellness industry and having that intuition and this guidance system, I'll call it my emotional intelligence guidance system, I have inevitably been able to pinpoint each of the individuals that I work with. And most of the time, a lot of people end up projecting what they're experiencing. So if I'm able to bring that awareness and that intuitive nature into my work, I have an awareness that I'm able to reel in and really guide me. So for me personally, to develop that balance in my career, work life, even home life, every element of everything, I always trust. So that's number one. And then two, I have to have a deeper understanding that everybody's kind of going through their own spiritual journey themselves. I think that has been my own biggest saving grace, is that understanding that people have their own spiritual sewage and they carry it everywhere in their suitcase. And you just never know when they're going to open up their suitcase and be like, wow, and unleash the beast, so to speak. So, I think the biggest thing is the intuitive nature, the balance, understanding, and just at the end of the day, with my own suitcase, with the energy that comes in, putting it in the corner and just saying, you know what, I don't have to deal with this right now. Or let me process this and actually help me with my intuitive nature to decipher, is this one, my spiritual suitage, or is it somebody else's that I've been carrying around and I just kind of put into my suitcase along the day? And that's been a good philosophy that has helped me at the end of the day to rekindle my balance.
Understood. Amir, you've had a very interesting career. Like spirituality has helped you quite a bit because you have had to cope with ignorance on totally different levels, right? So how has it helped you?
Well, let's just say I wasn't born into the light. And I had to learn how to maintain my light in extreme darkness. People, society, culture. And that is no easy task. In fact, that is the definition of mastery to begin with. To maintain your own light, not allow what's going on around you and outside of you to dim your lights, to lower your vibration, to turn you into one of them. And so learning this kind of thing early on, I developed extreme happiness, extreme joy. And my heart never went out. It broke many times, but the heart is an amazing thing. You can melt that broken glass and the molten will cool down and you have a fresh heart again. So learning how to heal myself through a lot of very difficult situations, I've come to this understanding that a healer must be able to feel what it is they're healing. If you haven't felt it yourself, you haven't earned the rites of passage to deal with that situation. And I see everybody agreeing this is a common theme with all of us. We've gone through the ringer, okay? So as I became older and more confident, Then after learning how to hold my own light, it turned into doing something rather incredible for other people, mostly students, young people. So you feel they're going through a difficult time. You just sense the energy and it's an instant thing. You know what's going on with them. And then comes the art of very delicately uttering a few words to completely transmute that thing on its head. So usually after my classes, all the students are humming, they're happy, the energy is amazing. They may come in feeling completely depressed. Or it might be a consultancy with a few people from different areas, different companies sitting down. They're all angry and agitated. Again, transmuting that energy with a few correct words. Afterwards, everybody's happy. They're pleased with what we've done in the hour or 2 hours of our meeting. So basically, a lot of healing, if it's correctly done, transmutation comes in. You're transmuting some sort of negativity, turning it on its head and turning it into something beautiful and positive. And I just look forward to continuing this, helping even more people in the company of you fine people.
Excellent. So Callum mentioned something a little early on, and I'm going to pick it up. In our world today, things are going sideways. I think we all can agree that things might be going a little bit sideways. And this has impacted a lot. This has impacted a lot of people, right? Majorly. Okay. My experience has been that I walk out there and I'm not seeing any more smiles out there. Okay. People have a grim, like if you just drive in the morning traffic, people have this look on their face like, every time I press on that accelerator, I'm burning a little bit more gas that I have to put back in, right? And so people have this kind of tension. There's a tension in society, and you guys have to deal with society, right? So for some practitioners, they stay home like, yeah, I just want to stay in my basement and not come out. Because especially if you're an empath and you're feeling everybody else's shit, okay? It's horrifying out there right now. So how have you guys, what are the coping mechanisms you guys have come up with to handle this situation? Round the table we go. Nicole.
Well, I think identifying and being able to decipher what is yours and what isn't as a healer, first off, like you have to be able to say, wow, that wasn't mine. I'm going to send that back to sender, you know, and then being able to know that, that because my signature frequency, I'm calibrating to source. I'm not calibrating to a boss that's pissed off or the person that cut me off on the highway. So I always just bring it back to that sacred neutral. And that's how I've lived my life for years. So I don't get pissed off. If you want to yell, go ahead, yell. I'm not going to calibrate to that. I'll just go, I'll, you know, dismiss myself and come back. And hopefully you have had, you know, an attitude adjustment. I just can't get sucked into that. So that's what I do. I just always calibrate to source. And I remind myself of that because sometimes, you know, we're human and sometimes people really get under your skin. So that's been my navigational tactic, really.
Tell me, Gala.
So I have to validate Nikki as well, because that has been the biggest saving grace for myself too, is figuring out one, whose stuff is mine and who is not. And then the responsibility of the reaction. So if I do find myself in a particular situation where things are not peachy keen and they're not sunshine, lollipops, rainbows, and unicorns and everything wonderful, right? So if I find myself in a particular situation like that, what I do have is the choice and the responsibility to react in a way that is going to be, like Nicole and Nikki said, to the highest energy of myself. And is this something that is really going to serve me at the end of the day? And that takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of diligence to work on and practice and master in a way. And you know what? I think the beautiful thing is, even if we do slip up, we still have to remind ourselves that we're human beings and we're here on this earth to learn. And other people are here to do the same. So as long as there is communication thereafter, I mean, you're not going to be like, after the guy comes and cuts you off or whatever the case may be, is there's not going to be communication from that person to you. But let's just say if there's somebody more intimately involved in your relationships, if it's a boss, if it's a partner, if it is a business partner, whoever it is, you can still have that that power to sit down and say, you know what, I really want to have a conversation about this. And no matter if it is received well or if it is not, you're still doing what you can, and you have your power, and you have the ability to say, you know what, I'm doing everything in my nature to be good by me, for the ultimate good of said universe and said earth that we live on.
Tell me, Amira.
Well, I can't top what these esteemed ladies said. It's pretty complete. So Nicole mentioned awareness of your own energy. What's mine and what's not? That's important. That awareness is very important. So you know what's your own vibration, what your own energy is, what your light is. And then, well, we get used to smelling everything, roses and the sewage. There's no way out of it. We're in society, we get exposed to beautiful people. You may cross some old person, a pensioner with their stick all bent over and wrinkly, and you just sense their energy. You say, oh my God, what a beautiful, elated being. Then you may see somebody young who's going through a rough breakup. You just sense their energy and it's awful dense. They're upset, they're disappointed. So again, we feel all of it, but having the ability to not allow any of it to stick to you. Rose petals or garbage. Kind of being like a spiritual Teflon coated being. It all kind of falls off, it doesn't stick.
Okay, I'm not gonna say any of that, but I have developed a little bit of a shit antenna. And so this is how I run. I have like a shit antenna on
A
my
shitometer.
head. Yeah,
Shitometer.
And so what usually happens is like when I go out into society, I have 360-degree awareness, okay? And it's important to develop that awareness of possibly negative interactions that you could find yourself into. Because honestly, a lot of people get themselves into situations that they could have avoided had they been aware that the situation is coming. So in today's world specifically, may I highly suggest that you develop the radar, because mine is a little bit more neurotic. I can own my own shit. So like if you see David suddenly walking and then suddenly flying across the street as an example, and you're walking next to me, it's because I picked up something down the road that is not conducive to my peace of mind. And I literally have the repel function, like repel, repel, right? Where I don't even have to interact with that thing. It's like, oh no, danger, over here, and my body literally starts sliding sideways. Okay, it's important to develop that kind of awareness. The reason why I say that, it's because the world is not getting any easier. There are a lot of people out there that are looking for some sort of outlet to release the sewage on. And you may be in your little happy place. You just gone to Walmart just to pick up, you know, like your olive bread. I've been introduced to olive, like they're like little olives in the bread. Never mind. The reason why I'm talking to you, Nick.
Olive bread, I hear you.
Right. I've been introduced to olive bread, right? And you just went there to pick up some olive bread, but there's going to be situations that you run into, and Amir and I did a show on that, where people and situations literally try to take you off center. So just picture this. You go into Walmart, you want to pick up that olive bread, but in the aisle, somebody has taken the cart and put it 45 degrees pointing into the aisle. It's an aisle, it's small, but you're going to take your basket and point it 45 degrees in, right? And so it makes life difficult for everyone else. Is it subconscious? Yeah, it may be subconscious, but people, if you look at people when they're shopping, they lose their minds, right? They're not conscious, okay? They're like putting stuff into the bag, they're somewhere else and so on. And so when you see stuff like this and you see it happening and it starts to recur and so on, you need to do something that I like to do, which is stop, dead stop, stop where you are, right? And I mean stop mentally as well, right? Stop it, because the reaction, the energy that that person is trying to harvest off of you by getting you annoyed or angry, right? If you give it, then it won't stop. Because a lot of people see their day rolling down the hill at the beginning and they give that thing energy and it starts rolling down, snowballing down, and they need to stop at some point in time. Which reminds me of our next topic of discussion, which I would really like to know. How do you guys stop the ball from rolling down the hill? We're not talking the secret here. How do you stop the ball from rolling down the hill? A lot of people have like issues that are going on with them, like something bad has happened, they give it energy and it just starts rolling down the hill into cumulative sewage. So, Nicole, around the table we go.
Yeah, I think my first plan of attack would, if it's a client situation versus a person in a food store, I would let them know that there's no judgment in that moment and that that everything is temporary. And a lot of people are living in the past or they're too far in the future. And that's where the anxiety and depression comes in. So I try to help them identify their sacred neutral, what's safe to them, where do they feel happy, what do they like to do, because a lot of people are just piling on and piling on and piling on, and they don't know how to stop. So if you show them techniques of how to calm themselves and let them know it's only temporary, they can get through it, they have to stay in the now, that's really helpful. But a lot of people like to project to bring you down. And that's what's really important, to be able to identify and say, no, 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 you're not doing that to me today. Letting the voicemail hit versus picking up the phone call. You don't have to engage in every argument you're invited to. And I learned that young. I'm like, oh no, that's not for me, and I keep it moving. I can't tolerate it. And it's nothing personal. It's just I only have so much energy in a day, so I rather use it on something fun that I enjoy.
Michaela.
So if we're taking the example of like the grocery store person versus, let's just say, let's take it complete opposite, and now we're going to work with somebody that maybe is a little bit more intimately close to you, like a family member or somebody that you have to deal with on a daily basis. And I don't say deal as in like, oh, I have to put up with you, but in some cases, you have to work through it with specific people. So in my particular experience in life, I have found that I have more, I don't want to say more patience, but if somebody did that to me in the grocery store, I'd be like, well, excuse me, I need my bread, like get out of my way, but in the most polite way. And you know what, sometimes I put myself into this place where I stop for a moment with my shopping cart and I say, well, maybe they're so involved in something that they just can't be present, that the outside world is happening around them. Like there's something that is engulfing them that they have to block my bread. And it brings an awareness to me because I'm sitting there empathizing with that individual. I simply ask them and I communicate, hey, I gotta get this bread. And 9 times out of 10, when I bring kindness to the table or kindness into that experience, it's usually well received. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't see you there. Or, oh my goodness. They're just so wrapped up in whatever it is that they're experiencing that they're not even aware that you're even there. And I think that's an extraordinary thing because, and I think that would be a good topic to talk about because people are just very engulfed in their own little bubbles that they're not seeing the outside world happening. Now, on the flip side of, let's just say, more of an intimate relationship or a business relationship with somebody that you have that direct correlation with on a daily basis, I think that's where that wall kind of comes down a little bit and you're more, you may feel obligated to respond because sometimes we think that, oh, people are mind readers or people know what we're experiencing or people can assume that this is what we need from them or whatever the case may be. So let's just say from the example of just being in a functioning household, and you see this all the time with like a parent-child situation where the parent may have asked that child to do 7,000 things at the same time or whatever. Even if the child says, hey, I'm hungry, and the parent is just wrapped up in their own stuff, they're more obligated to be like, well, don't you see I'm busy, or I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and they're not really consciously thinking about this other person has a need, because there's a level of comfort I feel, but also a level of that the walls are down. So it allows for, it's not necessarily that comfort, it's just the walls are down. So there's more of that element of the reaction response versus the stop and think response.
That was an excellent point you brought up there. Not everybody's mind readers or mind readers. A lot of people who are into esoterics, because they have the byproduct of intuition, they assume everyone else has the byproduct of intuition. That's an excellent point, right? So like, and so it makes their life a little bit difficult because like, how are you not seeing this? They're not seeing this because they're not being particularly empathic and they're not listening to their own thoughts. So they're highly likely they ain't listening to your thoughts either. Amir, go ahead.
Well, let's think of the sacred neutral being a flowing river. Somebody may be at a low energy point, in depression, in grief, where the water is frozen. If it is the right thing to do, then you may introduce some fire. A few kind words and lift that person up unbelievably. They say, oh, there is hope for humanity. Oh, wow, I didn't expect that. And on the flip side, they may be steaming with rage. And then you introduce ice. With a few calm words, you can bring down the flames and turn it out. So again, those little subtle touches can be very powerful. It's, again, holding your own vibration, not being affected by what's going on in the other person, yet you're the one that's determining what the common vibration is. They come to your level, which is sacred neutral. So you treat people with respect first and foremost, and compassion. And then there may be the example of the snowball, where it's like a massive object rolling down the hill already. If you get in its path, guess what? You're going to be part of that snowball rolling down the hill. So you just step aside, let the snowball do its thing. You didn't start the snowball, and it's not going to be you down the hill getting hit by it. Unfortunately, sometimes you just need to step aside. Bye-bye, snowball. Yes, it's not my monkey, not my circus. And so you have to be able to, determine what the situation is, if you can help or not, compassionately. And of course, the most important thing is preserving your own sanity, your own energy, your own well-being. You can't sacrifice yourself. So yeah, it's on each situation. I completely agree with my esteemed panel members. What they said, it's difficult to top it.
Excellent. So I actually, I'm going to take a little bit of a tangent here because David is going to take a tangent. I'm very happy that we have women on the panel. Oh yes, I am, because I'm going to take that kind of tangent that will interest you guys. So let's talk about human relationships, romantic relationships between esoteric people, men and women. Yeah, why you didn't think I would go there? I am going to go there. Why you didn't think I would go there? So there are a lot of people who enter spirituality, or they may have been in spirituality and they're looking for companionship. It may be male, male, female, female, but it's good that we have a mix on the panel. And so they experience difficulty. Sorry. They experience difficulty finding that match. A lot of the reason is because they have raised their vibration to a place where they're a little bit more aware. And sometimes it feels like dating or being involved with someone is like being involved with a brick. And then there are times when you are talking to someone, and I don't mean just romantic relationships. You have a ball in your hand, you throw the ball out. You expect the ball to hit and then come back to you. And then you throw the ball out, and then you just watch the ball drop, and you're looking at the ball side, right? And that ball may be your impression or whatever else. So honestly, First of all, I want to actually get into solutions, not just the problem. The problem is a difference of awareness a lot of the times, okay? And a lack of knowing the self inside, right? On both sides as well, because people are developing even when they're in spirituality and so on. But is there a solution to this kind of thing? Because let me tell you, it can be extremely trying. And I know everybody who's watching this broadcast knows exactly what I'm thinking about. Y'all may have had that kind of experience if you guys are in the esoteric family, or even if you're just beginning that journey and so on. You have a brick problem. And whether the brick is actually you yourself or someone else, you may have a problem, an unevenness. So let's go there. Nicole, over to you. I take that hot flaming ball and I throw it over to you.
Okay, I caught it. Okay. It can be quite difficult because there's two sides to this coin, because when you meet someone and they're not, I wouldn't say not intuitive at all, but when you're born this way and then you meet like a mogul, it's kind of hard to mix that, because they expect you to know everything. They expect you to be able to anticipate everything, which you can, but that gets a little tricky. But then if you're dating someone that is at your same vibration, there is no lying, there is no cheating, there is nothing you can get away with that won't pop up in a vision next week, whether you told me or not. You know what I mean? It's going to come to the surface. So you have to be really in, you have to be all in. You can't half-ass that type of connection, because it's going to come to the surface. And you want to be honest. You want everything to bubble up and be honest. So that could be a little tricky with relationships. And a lot of people, Kyla and I had this conversation yesterday, a lot of people are posers. You know, they're fake. They think they're intuitive or this, that, and the third, and they're actually not. So that can be tricky as well. Yeah. So yeah, it's a navigational skill, I would say.
Navigational skill. Please, Skylar, jump in here.
So I just want to say thanks, Nicole, because that's really like, it's interesting what you're saying about how, like, when you have that expectation for two very highly developed individuals, there is the expectation for you to kind of just mesh well with one another, but all while honoring your own spiritual journey. So I just want to start by saying that depending on your circumstances, like whether you are the spiritual being or if you're other person, like, let's start with this. If you are the spiritual being or the more highly developed, or what, I don't even want to use highly developed, because everybody has their own journeys in life, and it really is going to depend on where they are, and that's fine. Like, nobody has to be on the same level. And I think that's something that I have learned by the grace of the universe, is that there is not the expectation for everybody to always be on the same level, because I know personally, I myself am never on like 150%. Like, there have been times where I've gone to my spiritual light switch and I've dimmed things down because I need that break for myself. So what I will make commentary on is, if you are an individual that, like to say, you are with somebody that may not be as in tune with their own spiritual journey, that can bring up some difficulties, because as a spiritual being, or as a very highly intuitive being, you're just like, hello, do you not see what it is that's causing you this dysfunction in your life? And it's like, you want to beat your head against the wall, because you're like, if you just did this, if you just did this, if you just tweak this. Because the way that I function and the way that my energy works is, as blunt as I can be, I'm like, hey, this is your problem, this is how you fix it. Or this is your problem, maybe consider these options, because it's all about free will and choice at the end of the day, right? Because you can't tell anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. Now, on the flip side, and just to add to this portion of the conversation, is that I have learned the gift of patience, understanding, and to drop expectations, because again, I can't force anybody along their journey. And I think the most humbling experience that I have experienced in this lifetime is when I detach from that expectation and just allow somebody to be who they are and go through their journey and make sure that my grass is good on my side, not worrying about their grass. You know, like, I'm able to tend to my garden, and then that other person says, wow, your grass is really nice. Like, hey, Kyla, how'd you get your grass to look this nice? And then I say, well, your grass is never going to look exactly like my grass, but I can guide you to how your grass can look as nice as it can be for you. And I think that's the biggest thing, is like just dropping the expectation altogether. Now, what Nicole and I talked about yesterday was, it's not to say that people are fake or there is the element of them not being authentic. I really think people really freaking try to be the best versions of themselves that they can every single day. And it's not the element that they're being fake. I just don't think that they're practicing what they're preaching. And that is where the discord and that disconnect is coming from, because it's truly, it has nothing to do with, they're just not being who they are saying that they're going to be. And that's where the discussion is coming from. And that's what's causing turmoil. That's what's causing a lack of connection, because they're saying, hey, wow, I want to be just like you, or hey, I have this gift. And like, if universe is coming down and beating it on your head every day, like, hey, just go and move a little bit, go get some exercise, eat this good food, and you're sitting there eating Doritos, like, hello, like, of course your gut issues are going to cause a dysfunction, which is going to cause everything else to be dysfunctional. So let me get off my high horse, but that's pretty much, I just wanted to clarify that. But it's not the fact that people are not being authentic. It's just, it's really freaking hard when you have circumstances and when you create, or when you continue to make the same choices that are not creating any difference in your day-to-day life. Because when you do the same damn things over and over and over and over again, expecting a different result, does anybody know what that is?
Yeah.
Insanity. Insanity.
Yeah, a lot of people do the same thing. I'm sorry. A lot of people do the same thing year over year over year, and then they wonder why nothing changes. So, yeah.
Ain't that the truth? Look, and I particularly enjoyed the real estate analogy with the grass. I really enjoyed that, Carla. Amir, go ahead.
Well, I mean, come on, guys, leave something for me to say. You've already.
Sorry, we're going to try to go the other way.
We're gonna start
What the hell, guys? Come on. But yeah, what you say is complete, and I agree with it. It's perfect. So when two people come into each other's life, it's that they're within a certain zone of each other's vibration. That's how we attract others. So to begin with, we're somewhat compatible in a zone where the relationship is sustainable. The problem emerges when one party does more work and the other does no work or very little work, right? And this difference starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And suddenly you see that difference is no longer within the acceptable zone. It turns that one is dragging the other one down, and the other is trying to lift the other one up, martyring themselves out of compassion, out of love. And unfortunately, that's what occurs time over time, very, very frequently, especially if both parties are into spirituality and developing themselves. So I like what Kyla said. We all have our own pace of growth. It's not like somebody isn't trying. So the way that I reconcile this problem is we're on our journey. Our journey is an individual journey. And sometimes we have the pleasure of traveling with a companion on one leg of the journey. We must keep in mind that nothing is forever, and that is the truth. So while the journey lasts, let's be good travel companions, good buddies on the road to evolution. And then when things do not match, it has to be done in a most gracious, respectful way. Firstly, towards ourselves, and then towards the other party. But okay, this and this is happening, and it's not working out. Our differences have become too great, and there's a fork in the road. The path you're on isn't my path. And so the separation must happen. And it's very difficult. So while the journey goes on, one must try to learn as much as they can from the other side, because everybody has lessons to teach. But yes, nothing is forever. We have to be nice about it.
So I brought up this topic, and yep, I'm gonna keep on this topic. Yeah, I would be that guy. I would be that guy that's gonna be keeping on this topic because I counsel a lot of people every once in a while, and a lot of these relationships between people, two people who are spiritual. First of all, there are a lot of spiritual people who are single for a very, very good reason. And I have found that the people who are single are highly developed people. Okay, because their intuition has been dialed up to such a degree that they can spot bullshit from like a kilometer down the road. Okay. And so it's like, yeah. So it's that they should have a little disclaimer in the spirituality classes or whatever else. Yeah, this can ruin your social life. Okay. There should be a little disclaimer at the bottom of every spiritual text. Reading this can possibly ruin your social life. And so you develop the intuition and so on, and you can spot the bullshit. And if you have been in spirituality for a while, you've made mistakes, right? So life teaches you the mistakes that you make, okay? It's easy to be, it's one thing that I have to say, it's really easy to be optimistic when you're younger. When I was younger, I was going to go out and banish ignorance from the land, and I was going to like do, okay, probably I'm still that way, never mind. But you know what I mean? You're like, you're gonna go out and banish ignorance from the land, and you're gonna do your part and be out there. And as you grow older, you have experiences and so on, and you recognize a few things. Number one, some people like their ignorance. You have to accept that. And it's the acceptance part, you know. It's the acceptance part. So in romantic relationships, you have to understand that there are some people who are going to want their ignorance. It's like a shroud that they wear, a shroud of protection. Okay. So I'm sure that some of you who are watching this broadcast would have experienced people who they know that they could release themselves from pain, but they won't. And so that's what Amir was alluding to, because at the end, they drag you down with them. Okay, so there's this heavy energy that pulls you down and so on. And that's where the separation occurs 9 times out of 10. And then there you have the parasitical relationships where people literally stick hooks into you and feed off your light. Okay. And so what that actually looks like is when people are literally going out there to look for people who have development on board, they stick hooks into you and they try to bring you down bit by bit. And some of it is unconscious and some of it is totally conscious. Okay? Some of it is totally conscious, and that has to do with their own traumas and their own dramas and so on, and have nothing to do with you. The third point I want to bring up is that when people who are spiritually along the path get together, what happens is a certain amount of codependency develops. Okay. So I may be on a particular path and you may be on another path, and we can't agree necessarily, right? But they find it difficult to release each other, right? Because here is what's running through both of the individuals' minds. And this is because I deal with people on a regular basis. Here's what's happening. If I break up with this person, that would put me back into the brick market. You see it. Okay? And so if I break up with this person, I'm just going to stay by myself. You see how that works?
Let's do olive bread market.
Yes, correct. Right. And so honestly, I don't know about you guys, right? But like when I meet people who have light running, that it's like gold to me. It's like shit. Like like intelligent. I shouldn't say intelligent light, but like developed life. Like I throw the ball and it comes back. Okay, it doesn't drop hopelessly on the ground while I shed a single tear, right? You know, you throw the ball and it comes back to you. So I guess the third point I want to bring up is that it becomes difficult if you are into spirituality to find a companion, because when you find a companion, it's like gold. And you're like, yeah, I don't want any shit messing this up, right? And there is that part of it. And for the people who have gone through the whole process of being involved with somebody who is, for want of a better word, I don't like using these words when you talk about levels. There are no levels, right? But awareness. People who are aware, losing that individual can be heartbreaking on a totally different level than normal heartbreak. Make sense?
Right, because
as
they
we-
just don't miss you, they miss access to you. They
Correct.
miss what you could do for them. Yeah.
And so we're going to go counterclockwise so that America fights.
Yes.
America
Oh,
start.
hell yeah.
You
I'm
start
there.
this off.
So on this, again, there are those relationships that, well, every relationship, whether it's with people on the path of spirituality or not, it has its good times and it has its bad times. So it's a mix of both. There's no exception. We're all human beings. There may be times when the paths of people diverge and you separate, whether it's a good separation or bad. But the interesting thing is that people like this leave a permanent imprint on each other.
Mhm.
Once, so it goes beyond physical intimacy, although that is a big part of it. But when the energies merge, there is a tiny bit of that person's essence that remains with you forever. And I mean forever. 10 years down the line, if they're going through heartache, you feel it. If they're happy, you feel it. Right? And many a time you may get a call or a message from somebody that you were dealing with decades ago in a very compassionate way because they're feeling you, and vice versa. So it's not all codependent or vampiristic. Let's say you were good travel companions for each other for that part of the journey that you shared. You were on the same train, so to speak, before you got on your different trains. And it left a lasting impact on you. So it could be very rewarding. Although it doesn't last forever, of course, you know, we're all going to our own, we're going to the peak, each through our own route, climbing the mountain through different routes that suit us. But yes, you never know, maybe our ropes get tangled and we meet again later. So these kind of things are very interesting, especially when you're more developed. That imprint becomes much more powerful.
Carla?
That was like a lot, and I love that because that really resonated.
You have nothing else to say, do you?
Yeah. You know what? I'm really sitting here and I'm being like a sponge. And I think that's where I want to take my commentary because I have learned to be the sponge in life. And no matter what relationship it is and whatever difficulties come to the surface, I like to take them in and process them. And I think one of the biggest, I guess you could say, benefits to having and I actually want to come from more of an optimistic state, even though it's going to come out sounding a little funky. But I like when there is not necessarily, I like to be aware of whatever it is that is creating that dysfunction, because that to me signifies that there may very well be something within myself, especially within a relationship, that I need to become more aware of. And I think as a spiritual and enlightened being, and I'm going to just say this, that like every relationship in your life is never always going to be 100% hunky-dory, especially when it comes to a spiritual being or even two spiritual beings that are in more of that, you know, intimate bonded relationship. You're not always going to have that hunky-doriness or that pure happiness. And I think where a lot of people struggle in this lifetime is we strive so deeply to find pure happiness. And I really don't think that that is what we should be searching for. I think it should be a level of contentment and peace and that grounding element within that particular relationship. Because it's not like to the conversation is that life is not always going to be like that fluid river. There's going to be rocks. There's going to be a fish in the way, and it's going to flap you, and it's going to come out of the water and slap you in the face. It's just going to be what it is. So you have to be prepared in a way to recognize that, hey, this is what's happening in this particular moment. And there's a difference between and this is where I'm going to go with this, because you could choose your battles, and it all comes down to choice at the end of the day. Is you could choose what it is that you want to experience in your lifetime. So let's just say, and I'm going to speak this into, like, when there is a blockage in a relationship and you get to choose, is this something that I really want to work through? And I think a lot of really good relationships, they take a lot of hard work. Now, what I am going to say is that there's a difference between whether you are an individual that is working towards the same goal and the same intention versus somebody that is pouring out of their own cup to try to make things work that truly isn't working because the other side is not receptive. That's a different story, right? So if both parties involved, whether it is relationship, mother, daughter, son, mother, whatever it is, both parties have to be willing to make it work. And if it doesn't work, then you try to find other solutions that are going to bring you to the state of where you really truly want to be in your life. And as a spiritual being, you have the gift of awareness, and you have the gift of choice as to whether I want to continue to do this or not, because value and the truest nature of who it is, what it is that you want in this lifetime really override everything else that you're going to experience. So that's kind of what I've learned. And you know what? I choose to do what I do every day. And if something contributes contrast into my life, well, guess what? A part of me is, I have a responsibility for that, because I chose to do that. I chose to say what I was going to say. I chose to be in this particular situation, circumstance at this particular time. Now, I'm not saying that when things get, let's put it this way, if you are in a situation where things are violent, or if they are, they are to the point where you need counseling, then I will never not say that you should not do those things. I actually encourage it so that you can come to that place of deep-rooted understanding. But if things are toxic, let's put it that way, then that is a completely different story. And that's very different. So that's what I'll say.
Okay, Nicole.
Well, I think we're all becoming. You're never perfect. You're always individuals and couples, any type of relationship, whether it's family or friends or intimate relationship, we're all becoming. So I think being spiritual, you have to, having that awareness, you really have to respect everybody else's becoming, and don't step on their path, and be supportive and loving. And if it doesn't work out, it's okay. You can do it in a loving way, like Amir was saying. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be some big fight and some drama. You could just say, hey, this isn't working out, and work through it, because everybody is becoming. And I think that's really important for all of us to keep in the beginning of the front of our minds, that nobody's perfect. And we're just all trying to love and get through this life the best we can, So
Yeah, that's actually sound advice there. What I want to pick up on right now from all of what you guys have said is the concept of manifestation. Okay. And so Amir and I did a tips and tricks show recently. And when I say recently, I mean yesterday. And so it's actually coming into fruition right now. In terms of manifesting and creating your own reality, a lot of people seem to have some difficulty with that, especially in today's world. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to say is that we live in an organic creation. Everything is connected. Everything is connected. Right? The concept of manifestation is more like a domino effect. You start that ball rolling and it rolls out. A lot of people lack the focus for intentionality. Okay. So what Amir and I was saying on the show was that somebody does a ritual. They think that the intentionality stops when the ritual stops. And we want to give people like legitimate tools to actually help them with their manifestation problems. Okay. So the first thing that I would have to say, I'm going to let you guys chime in here, is that when you're deciding that you're manifesting, you may call it magic, you may call it doing affirmations, you may call it following the advice of The Secret. I don't really care what you call it, right? Clear your mind first, because your creation, if something starts wrong, it won't end right, right? So clear your mind first and be very purposeful with regard to your intentionality, okay? Make sure that what you're trying to manifest does not cut across or step across anyone else's free will. As an example, you don't want to manifest Sally down the road as a girlfriend. You see the problem. Sally may not be interested in you as a boyfriend, so don't be doing rituals. Yeah, I need Sally, that's who I want. Don't. When you are manifesting, keep it clean, keep your head clear, make sure it's for the highest good of yourself and the highest good of everyone else. That would be my first suggestion. I'm going to let you guys chime in here. You want to go zigzag this time? Kyla, you're up.
Okay, so we're going to start in the middle this time. So what I will say in terms of manifestation and just little tips and tricks of tools of what has been extremely beneficial and it works. Let's put it this way. So I think having the clear intention and for the purest and highest good of yourself and for the people around you, that's going to be number one. Number two, I think the biggest thing that I have really benefited from is one, believing that it's going to happen because you as an individual are already calibrating to whatever it is your desire is. So let's just say you have a big project that you're working on. You first have to calibrate your energy to match that. And actually, by you receiving that thought of whatever it is, the law of creation actually steps into play because you created the thought was bestowed upon you in order for you to make movement with it. Now, the law of attraction comes in when you actually make those choices to roll with whatever it is that is coming through. So my advice or my toolbox that I would pretty much just give to anybody, or hey, if you need a screwdriver, whatever the case may be, is my thing would be is to just continuously do small things every day that is going to bring you to what your ultimate alignment is going to be. And when you face adversity and when you face contrast, it's actually an opportunity from universe to look at things in a different way and to make them more efficient for yourself and to make them more efficient where you can actually make movements and progress towards whatever your manifestation is. And sometimes that contrast that you experience, and this is the one tip, this is more of an advice level rather than a tool that I would give to somebody, is that if you face adversity, it is actually a beautiful thing. It is beautiful contrast because in that moment, that particular situation is coming up so you can, for once and for the final time, especially if it's a reoccurring thing, say absolutely not. And now, rather than focusing on what you don't want, you could say, you know what? I really don't want this, but I know damn well what I do. So I am going to continue to make the choices and decisions to keep going for what it is that I want. So let's take the element of a house, right? Like, let's get into real estate here. You know you want to buy a house, but you have no down payment money. So, okay, we're going to make a plan. And as much as, and this is what's beautiful about it, is that the idea of buying a house just came through law of creation. And you're like, I know what I want. I know what it's going to look like, blah, 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 blah. I can smell it, taste it, blah, 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 blah. Well, you don't have money in the bank account. So what are you going to do? So you can take small steps every single day to create a plan to where you need to be. So whether it's credit score, working on your credit score to boost it, or let's just say talking to some family members and just putting out the idea of, hey, listen, I'm considering buying a house. Do you have any tips and tricks? Do you have advice? You never know how the law of attraction and manifestations are going to come in, because somebody can come in and just say, hey, listen, I really want to help you. And here's a chunk of change to get you started. And that might just be that little bit of whatever it is that's going to get you rolling to help you get towards your overall goal for that down payment. So I'm just thinking about a tangible, realistic experience of what law of attraction and how things can actually manifest for yourself. But one, you have to believe it and you have to continue to work on the path towards that overall goal. Unfortunately, universe is not going to just give you what it is that you want. You have to work towards it, because law of creation and law of attraction, these laws that like the quantum physics realm, they're not going to give you any momentum unless you yourself are moving.
Hey, Amir, we're going zigzag.
Well, that was amazing. So yes, clarity of intent, all aspects of your being aligned towards that singular purpose would be the inception of the manifestation. None of your energy is going in other directions. You know clearly what you want. So David, on our previous recording, you used the example of an Amazon order. You manifest, guess what? Amazon is going to deliver. Unless you cancel the order. So you shouldn't cancel the order after you click the button by thinking and acting in opposition to the original manifestation. So we can always ruin our beautiful creations by doubt, by not acting in alignment with that manifestation, as Kyla very beautifully mentioned. So yes, that process of manifestation, it doesn't start and end with that ritual or with that creation. You have to nourish it continually with the right kind of energy, and then it starts growing like a tree. You have to continue caring for it, nurturing it, sustaining it. And again, manifestation requires that kind of continuous alignment, perfect alignment. And then you may get really good at this. That this process that you are doing in manifestation, you become very proficient. The duration of time which it takes for it to manifest becomes a lot shorter.
Mhm.
So yeah, I completely agree with what was said. So yeah, perfect. This zigzag thing is working.
Nikki?
Mm-hmm. And to stack on that, Amir, Source's time is different than our time. It's not earthly time, right? And what's really important is once you place that Amazon order, let it go. Let it go. You know it's going to come. So a lot of people hold themselves so tight on that manifestation, they block themselves and it can't come through. So part of it, putting energy into it, manifesting, but you want to manifest on a grand scale. You don't want to be so granular that you block yourself. And that's what Kyla and I were speaking about yesterday. You have to be really big with it and let the universe do what they do best. If you have pure intention and you're putting the work in, but there's that aspect of letting it go and believing and knowing it's going to come to you. You have to believe it and know it, like it's already in your possession. So those are
not to suffocate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And Nicole, I really loved I love the Amazon analogy, because you as a consumer that places an order through Amazon, Amazon has a guarantee for 1-day delivery, right? It tells you there is a freaking guarantee on your order. What do you do? As a consumer, you trust in Amazon so deeply that your order is going to come tomorrow that you just say, okay, great. This ridiculous item that I just ordered for whatever, my Play-Doh, is gonna come tomorrow. Great. And you don't think about it, you let it go. So what if we thought of universe or God, creator, whoever it is, even within ourselves as Amazon, and we put those beliefs and the guarantees in place to say, this I trust in 175%, if not more than that.
You know, I'm going to ask you if you actually placed an order for Play-Doh on Amazon, right? You
She
know,
probably did.
I'm gonna ask that question.
Probably did.
Right? And so I gotta give the disclaimer here for those of you who are Amazon shoppers, who are Amazon shoppers on the worldwide universal web. A lot of you have orders out there that y'all know nothing about, that y'all are placing. So you might want to know what you're ordering. So be aware of your order status, right? So a lot of you have like subconscious orders out there. In our show, Amir and I made an analogy, and I'm going to make it here. So if you're an asshole, for instance, you're placing an order for an ass beating. Subconsciously, you are.
True. Very true.
And everybody's picking up your order. Yeah, I don't have this on my in stock, right? Until you meet somebody. Oh yes, I have your ass beating right here, right here. Okay, and so these are the kinds of things that you guys need to be aware of when you are placing orders and so on. You need to you need to know the unconscious orders you're placing and the conscious orders, which starts once again with the clarity of mind to see what it is that you are transmitting. Okay,
Yeah. So,
and
so
so that's the
essentially, David,
manifestation. Yeah.
you shouldn't be drunk shopping, especially
Yeah,
if you're
like
blacked
don't
out.
be,
Yeah.
don't be on Amazon.
You wake up in the morning, you don't recall buying like thousands of dollars worth of garbage.
Yes,
Play-Doh.
like it's like you drunk shopping. David is drunk shopping on Amazon, buying conditioner and Revlon and shit. Like
Or 3 tons of edible Play-Doh. Like, what happened there?
like,
You wake up in the morning, there's a whole skid at your front door, like, wow.
yeah, this is
You know?
this is the kind of stuff that we want to pay attention to. I suppose our final topic for today, because this has been fun. I love this kind of energy that we have here. Our final topic for today involves the concept of gratitude and reverence. Okay, that is all but gone in our society. Like even when the Amazon guy reaches the door, it's like, yeah, oh, that's my order. Okay, thanks, bye. Right? Sometimes not even thanks. Like just drop it right there. The concept of gratitude. So here's how the universe operates. It sustains you. You gotta sustain it. You gotta sustain it. We keep having to say this over and over again in multiple shows. You gotta sustain the universe. You have a responsibility and a duty. You're living in the soup. You're contributing to the flavor. Okay? Okay? You're living in the soup. You're contributing to the flavor. So please don't be the mushroom. Don't be the spoiled piece of broccoli.
Don't be the asshole.
Don't be the spoiled piece of broccoli contributing to the flavor of the soup. And so gratitude is a very important thing. Reverence is a very important thing. I taught yoga for many years. For those of you who know what the word namaste means, it means the soul in me bends and bows to the soul within yourself. Okay? And if everybody, and I mean, forget about everybody, let's just work with 50%, but I'm going to be optimistic and work with 100%. If 100% of people adopted this kind of mind, right? When we were planning this show and so on, I reached out to people that I knew, that I revere. Okay? I did. Okay? That's how UCM was started. I reached out to people that I know, that I revere, that I have admiration for. And so the people on this panel, I have admiration for them. The soul in me bends the soul in them, bows to the soul in them. Okay? And if you look at things from this perspective, then you won't have a lot of energetical knots everywhere binding you. Okay? And so this is what I have to say on gratitude. I don't even know what order we're going in right now. Okay, so anybody chime in.
I'll go next.
Right, go ahead.
I just feel like when you stay in that state of gratitude, you don't have time to be an asshole because you're happy for everything. You're just grateful for the peanut butter and jelly sandwich you have for lunch. You might not have a filet or a lobster tail or whatever it is, but you have that peanut butter and jelly. So staying in that state of gratitude just brings you more abundance. It brings you more love. You don't have time to be an asshole. You're just grateful. You're just grateful for everything. So, I have this little song in my head. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like I walk around thanking spirit and the powers to be, just because I'm just thankful to be here and be able to to coordinate with you guys and to be able to reach people and to help them.
And your Amazon delivery guy, if you're nice to him, put in a good word for you at Amazon.
Right, he'll put it on the right steps, not the fire escape. Right.
Anybody else chime in, please?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So I want to just say that gratitude and appreciation, I think that there is a slight difference between the two, because what I've learned in this lifetime is that gratitude is an element. It is actually being grateful for things that you have not had. So gratitude serves its purpose when new things are coming in, new experiences, and then appreciation actually is a sense of keeping, continuing what is already or has been manifested in your life. So I use both of those interchangeably, but also they're both individually powerful on their own. So on that topic of both of those, let's infuse them together. I will just say that my little tidbit is just to savor it. So Nicole says that she does her little thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I do like a whole bodily dance, like it's an experience. And sometimes what I even do, I know this is going to sound like out there, but I just sit there and I actually converse out loud, even if I'm by myself or if somebody else is in the house. I don't care who's around. I'm like, oh my God, like, look at what just happened. Look at this experience that just came through. And I bring that additional awareness to my own being to really celebrate it, because when you savor something, it becomes that much more enjoyable. It's like that beautiful piece of cheesecake with the strawberries and raspberries and the drizzle on it. Like you enjoy it so much more when you're aware of what it is that's in front of you. And it's not just, you trust that you can always get another piece of cheesecake at any time. So that's number one. But number two, you can enjoy it in that moment, even more so because you're grateful.
Amir.
Well, beautifully put. I mean, gratitude and appreciation. You have fresh drinking water in your home, you open the tap, but how often do you stop to think of what a valuable resource that is? People get complacent. They cease to appreciate things that are beautiful, and that's not good. We should continuously revere the bounty that we have. That gratitude and appreciation is an important way of continuous being. Because again, we spoke about manifestation. If you're in an energy of gratitude, joy, and appreciation, that's what more of is going to manifest for you. So you're setting yourself up for even more. I'm so grateful for the overflowing abundance that runs through every area of my life. Thank you, Divine Cosmos. I'm humbled and grateful. Guess what? More will come your way. So it's a correct attitude, good attitude.
Excellent. And Amazon will deliver all the time. It will deliver. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right? And so, guys, this has been our show for today. We wanted to remind you that there are still people out here who are showing humility and so on. And I brought this panel together specifically with Amir, specifically to show you guys that we do have practitioners out here who are doing their part to, add to the soup, the wonderful soup. We're not making bone broth here. We're adding to this wonderful vegan vegetarian soup. Okay, I'm hungry. So we're trying to add to the soup and try to make it a little bit better. So you're gonna be seeing a lot more of Nikki. If you recognize the face, that's the face that you will see in our mobile app as soon as you open the mobile app. Kyla, I really hope that you will concede to do more of these shows, because you will have a lot to offer, my dear. That effervescence, and who knows, we might make a show on Play-Doh. This is me trying to incentivize you, right?
Spiritual Play-Doh, that would be great.
Right, and so if you guys have any comments, please leave them in the comment section below. But what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to let you guys know that Nikki, she does intuitive readings and so on. Amir has decided to come out into the open space.
Yay.
And he will be, and if you guys see additions in the app, the icons in the app, you will be able to be booking readings and sessions with Nicole and with Amir, right? We're probably going to have a live call-in show soon enough. Kyla, as into real estate, I want each of you guys to give a point of contact so that people can find you. Because I'm going to guess that esoteric people need help in buying houses and they would rather have an agent who actually understands them. So, guys, in any order, please give your contacts.
Well, you can find me on UCM, or you can email me at solutions@nicoledecroce.com. And in the app, we have a lot to offer, so definitely look around. But we'll be offering a lot of different readings and services in the years to come, so we're excited. You can find me there. Mhm.
I'll go next. And I would be easily accessible. I am very much an Instagram type of girl as well as Facebook. So you can find all of my modalities on there. I'm a direct connection type of girl. So I would love to interact on Facebook. So my name is spelled, I do go by my married name. So it will be, my first name is Kyla, last name is Montori, Montore. But if you type in Nowinski, Niewinski, you'll be able to find me also.
Yeah, and if you can't find Kyla on Instagram or Facebook, boy, you ain't looking. Right, and so, Amir, go ahead.
Also, like David and Nicole, you can find me on UCM. So I'm fully aligned with these incredible people. We're starting a powerful new movement, and it's going to be glorious. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the near future.
Excellent, guys. So we'll most likely be having a call-in show very soon where you guys can call in and ask us anything on any of the topics, any range of metaphysics from, I don't know, maintaining a sacred neutral to any of the difficult subjects that you may face. But I just wanted to let you guys know that we are available in app, so download the app and absolutely we will respond to your requests. It's been fun, all of you guys. It's been fun. Thank you so much for coming out. And I will, see you guys later.
Thank you.